ain't going back. Not gonna buy into all that. Hey, hey, ain't gonna hide. Gonna let all the fears slide. Got Mother Nature is on my side. Got all of the loving growing inside.
Hello, everyone. Welcome again to The New Now. I'm delighted to have Tony Sayers back with us. He's from Transcending Times, and as he has said before, he's the New Age whistleblower. And today we're going to cover a topic that has been sitting with me since the first time I came across Tony's work, chakras. I'm going to call this one Chakra Snacks. And Tony has discovered, according to him, how this is one of the areas where the fourth or fifth dimensional entities feast on us, and why it's been promoted as something to develop when perhaps the opposite could be true. Tony, hello.
Yeah, hi there, Lorenzo. Thanks for having me on your show again, and thanks to all your listeners for tuning in, and hopefully I'm sure they've all got open minds. They'll need them for the topic that we're going into. But yeah, it can be very triggering for a lot of people because the chakras are so ingrained in the New Age movement, and they're so prominent in what we're taught about in terms of quote unquote spirituality, which the more I delve into what we're sold as spirituality, the less spiritual that I actually find it, which is what my channel is all about, and exposing some of those deceptions, which I think we kind of alluded to in the first podcast that we did. But I guess the chakras really opened my eyes to the level of the deception within the New Age movement, because I admit I wasn't really massively into chakras, but I was on board with the idea of chakras. I was at one point a Reiki master. I hate that term because, you know, it sounds kind of egotistical that you're the master of something and other people are beneath you. But I'd done my Reiki level 3 when I lived in London. So I'd worked with chakras. I had no preconceived bias to not having them. So I wasn't like on a mission to expose the chakras. No, it was something that I stumbled across, and I could not doubt the results of not having them, basically. And the story basically goes, how I stumbled across it was around 7 or 8 years ago now. I put out a video, and the video was really questioning what military personnel were doing in countries that they shouldn't really be in, like, you know, bombing innocent people and then flying away and like at the speed of light in a plane. And yeah, like taking over on the say-so of very questionable quote unquote leaders, and the fact that we call them heroes. And so I just put this video out talking about this stuff, you know. And I lived in Cambodia at the time, and I went to bed that night having put the video out, and then I woke up in the morning. The video's got 40,000 hits overnight. I'm like, oh my God, it's gone viral. And I went to my Facebook Messenger in my inbox, and I'm not joking, I must have had about 20 death threats, right? Like serious death threats. And what had happened was this video had somehow found its way within the military circles. And I had, as you can imagine, all these very angry soldiers, because they don't want to lose their tag of being called heroes. And they certainly don't want to be called into question. So they were obviously very triggered. And yeah, I had a lot of death threats in my inbox. And I wasn't scared of those per se. I made the decision, probably like you have and a lot of us have, that, you know, there's nothing else worth more living than the truth. And so if you're going to go out, you know, speaking your truth. But and also the fact that I was living in the middle of Cambodia, and also I knew that a lot of these guys were full of hot air, and But anyway, nevertheless, I got on with I tried to get on with life, but something weird really happened, and I can only describe it as I felt like I was walking around in some kind of like energetic soup, like this kind of thick energy seemed to shroud me. I tried everything. I tried detoxing. I tried different meditations. I tried everything you can imagine, and it went on and on and on. It was causing me severe anxiety. You know, I'd pop down the shop to get some milk, and I'd feel anxious, and I'm like, "What's going on? This isn't me. This isn't normal." And I couldn't describe it. All I knew was it happened at the same time that this video went out, and I didn't understand psychic attacks at the time. Basically, psychic attack is when someone thinks I hate you, or I want you to die, or they have really malice thoughts, obsessive thoughts about you. That's actually a direct attack that sticks on your energy field. Okay, so you can imagine I had 40,000 of these people all hating on me, or a big majority of that. And I understand what it was now. It was psychic energy, and then, you know, the entities that got in around that my state and not depression, but my anxieties were ramped up, and entities getting on those stuff. And so I tried all this stuff, nothing worked. And then one day I was just desperate, and I put something on Facebook. I was like, look, has anyone got any other ideas? Because I am like at my end of my tether here with what's going on. And someone reached out to me, a healer, and she said, look, I'm doing some work at the moment, and part of it's to do with chakra removal. I'm like, you what? As most people are when they hear that. And I'm like, can you remove the chakra? She's like, yeah. And I'm like, so basically the chakras are, they're an implant, they're an etheric implant, that allow entities to lock into our energy field and loop negative thoughts around our head all day. You recently had Jerry Marzinski on your show, and he would have spoken a lot about how these entities constantly looping thoughts, suicidal thoughts, things like that. Quite often the thoughts that you're getting are not organic, and quite often they can be entities, and they will be pushing your buttons and playing on your wounds. And the way they get in and lock in on our, or one of the ways, at least, there's other ways as well, but one of their main weapons is the chakras. So if you imagine they have an arsenal of weapons, the chakra overlay, as I call it, is one of their main ones. And so anyway, going back to the story, I'm like, well, chakras, are you sure about this? And she's like, yeah. And it was weird, because partly out of desperation, because I tried everything, and partly because at some level it did resonate with me, because I thought the first image that came to mind was the scene in The Matrix, where everyone's in those kind of like pods. And I thought to myself, do you know what? It wouldn't surprise me if they did something that deceptive, you know, make the most beautiful things with all the rainbow colors, the lotus flowers, the most evil thing. And so I said, look, just do it. Just do it. I'm desperate. You know, I feel like I've got nothing to lose with this. And she worked on me remotely, and I fell asleep, and I could feel like some tingling going on. And then I went to sleep that night. Next day, like night and day, the difference. To this day, when I speak about it, I still like kind of get goosebumps, because it was just so profound. This cloud that had been on me had lifted. You know, I felt light. You know, all this anxiety had left. And the biggest difference, and this is the biggest thing that people report when the chakras are removed, is the quietness of the mind. That is priceless. I mean, you don't realize until you have this how much of your thoughts are not your own. And to have that mind quieten right down. Doesn't totally go. You still have your unhealed wounds and stuff that, you know, your organic stuff, but it gets dialed right down. It's like the volume goes from high down to low. And I'll never forget just the next day how different I felt. And it was almost like I really didn't expect it to work. I just kind of went with it, and I was really, really surprised by the results. And then, so at that point, I'm like, shit, the chakras are bullshit. And very few people were talking about it, maybe one or two people, but it wasn't out there like massively. And, you know, part of our responsibility when we come across new information is to report it, and people make their own decision, their own minds up. So the first thing I thought was, well, I'm going to put it out there that the chakras need to be questioned, and that we need to put that on the table and look at it again. And the other thing I thought was, and I want to learn how to do it because that's freaking cool. So as chance would have it, this lady, she lived in Thailand, I lived in Cambodia at the time, so, you know, obviously they're next to each other. And so she'd come over and she taught me a few things. She taught me about how to remove them. And so I started practicing on friends and family members and things like that. And I was noticing that, you know, they were getting good results. And it was weird because as the months went on, it was almost like with that gone, other things started to open up. So I started to perceive other things like implants and things like that. And so when I was practicing on people, I was removing what I was seeing as implants, and they were reporting sort of bigger shifts in what they were feeling. And so one thing led on to the other and to the other, to the point where I am now, where it's a complete removal of entities, implants, overlays, grids, holographic themes, different energetic hijacking. But it all started with the chakras, and so they're nothing more than an implant, and they have made what is in the New Age movement as the most beautiful looking thing really is the most evil. And that is really difficult for people to take on board, and people get really triggered by it. And I get it, because, you know, it's not information that perhaps people want to hear, but, you know, that's not what we're here for. We're here to tell people what they need to hear. And so I've been doing this for 7 or 8 years now, and I work with thousands of people down the years. I mean, there's other overlays as well. The chakra is one of the main ones. They've also overlaid the astral body. So what happens at night is they will project bad dreams or nightmares. Just let that pass.
Sound like a bad dream and a nightmare passing through.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So at night when we go to sleep, they project bad dreams or nightmares based on our subconscious wounds or fears. We don't always remember them because they wipe our memory, but we have them. And then when we're in that kind of anxious, fearful state, they're feeding on that energy through the night, through the astral body overlay. And so this is why you can sleep for 12 hours sometimes and wake up feeling like you've not slept at all. So generally when that gets removed as well, people report a much better quality of sleep. They actually feel like they've slept. They feel more well rested. So I guess my point being is that, you know, the chakras is a tiny part of, you know, what I personally remove in these sessions. And there's a lot of other astral junk, but, you know, the one that piques people's interest is the chakras, because it is so prominent. And, you know, in terms of pushback, you can imagine I've had a lot of people get triggered, and the arguments are always things along the lines of, well, you can't remove them. Well, you can, because it's just an implant. So we have 3 natural chakras, which are known as the Dantian points. I don't know if you've heard of that, Dantian points.
Of course, Dantian points, yeah. Yes, for sure.
So we have one around the where the third eye is, one around the heart, and one where the sacral is. So you still have your three, what I would call natural chakras. It's just the seven chakras in the New Age. They are the implant. Um, so
makes sense.
So people say you can't remove the chakras. No, you can't remove anything that is organic to your body. Nobody can. Nothing that is beneficial to your body or organic to your body can be removed. It's impossible. But inorganic stuff can be removed, and the chakras can be removed. And the second question you get is, yeah, but you would die without chakras. You wouldn't die without the unnatural 7 chakras. You might die without the 3 Dantian points. So, and of course, the other one that I get quite often is, oh yeah, but they've used the chakras in Tibet, and they used them in ancient India and all this stuff. And I'm like, yeah, okay. So look around. We're more enslaved than ever. So where is this getting us? Okay, I mean, you live in Japan. I think we touched on this last time. Japan, Japanese people, Korean people, lovely people, very, very controlled, very brainwashed. And what is the basis of their control? It's tradition. So when I used to, a lot of the time, so when I used to teach English to Koreans, and they used to say to me, I used to ask them, what you studying? And I'm doing economics. I'm like, do you enjoy it? They go, no. I'm like, so why are you doing it then? Well, because my granddad told me, or my teacher told me, or my so they have the tradition of respecting their elders to the detriment of their own personal needs and wants and what they want to do in life. That is tradition. So how is that tradition helping them? It's not helping them. It's holding them back. And we see a lot of this with other traditions. And so I think that we're living in a time where even if things are quote unquote tradition, we have to put it all on the table and have another look at it. Because right now we're more enslaved than we've ever been before with all these traditions in our past, the chakras being one of them. So the idea that the chakras being old means that they're quote unquote beneficial really is null and void, because if the chakras were so great and freedom loving, and why are we so enslaved and massively energetically enslaved as well? So they're quite common pushbacks I get on it. But really, I'm not here to convince people, or if people want their chakras, they can have their chakras. I'm far from like forcing it onto people, but I can tell you from firsthand, and having worked with a lot of people down the years, it's definitely more beneficial without.
So a couple of questions, because I understand the way you've put it, and it kind of makes sense to me, is that a lot of traditions are BS and certainly haven't helped people to be free. That's of course a simple way to put it. So we have the chakras. I had to say, when I heard your original chat about them as well, I was a little skeptical. I'm going, okay, not about the chakras themselves. It's like, I've had my own dreams, and especially the sexy ones. I will say that the monsters get you at night, and I've had to have my own battles to close those energy centers. And then finally, I'm at peace, and I'm having more restful sleeps. And, the experiences you mentioned of, having long dreams and then waking up tired has happened so many times, over my life. And, I've seen myself hijacked. I remember once driving to Mexico on my way from Canada, and my friend and I were driving at the time they had, you drove a rich person's Cadillac, to the desert area there, because they wanted to go for the summer, but they didn't want to, they wanted to fly. But when they got there, they had to drive away, it was called, or something like that. So I remember on my way to Mexico feeling really groovy and energetic. And then we kind of didn't have money for hotels at the time, so we slept in the desert. The Cadillac was as big as a hotel room pretty much anyways. We put the front seats back, had a nap, and I was attacked that night viciously in the desert, by those so-called monsters. And I woke up feeling like, like a puddled piece of poo, let's say. And this was 25 years ago, and it put me kind of on my path to knowing something's going on, because because I know those dreams aren't meant to ravage you in your sleep.
Yeah.
You know, like
Well,
wild.
they always shoot themselves in the foot with shit like that because,
Yeah.
you know, they probably attacked you because they can see future timelines. Now you're a guy, you're out there putting information into the world. That alone is going to pee them off. And now you're getting guests that are going sort of deeper into these realms. That's going to pee them off. So they'll attack you. But then what happens when they attack you is you're like, what the hell was that? And you start being more intrigued by it and wanting to know more about it. So they always end up shooting themselves in the foot in the end. That's what I've found now in years.
I agree. Yeah.
But the other thing as well, it's like, you know, imagine you're the creator of a human. You want to, I don't know, call it God or whatever you want to call it. Why would you compartmentalize the energy to the point where a person has to, quote unquote, balance each part of their body and balance their chakras, and then one day balance the root chakra, next day balance the crown chakra? And surely you would have a system where energy would flow freely around the body without the compartmentalization. So even when you think about it logically from the way something is designed, it doesn't make logical sense that we would have compartmentalization like that in our energy field.
No, that's how the you know, that's how the systems of government work. You know, they compartmentalize everything and leave you lost for being able to get anything done.
Yeah, I mean, how many times have we balanced the heart chakra and still felt like shit? It's like, you know, it might work temporarily for, you know, a day or two, and then you've got to do it again. I mean, so when you remove the compartmentalization, your energy flows in a much more natural way, and you don't have to keep, you know, balancing the chakras. So yeah, it's. It's an interesting topic for sure.
Well, I want to like segue into that because I've had those experiences. A lot of my own past memories are coming back as we're having this conversation. I can remember doing meditations in my 20s on my chakras because, you know, I went into the whole guru, new age, trying to figure out what the hell was going on. And then I remember now feeling watery and weak coming out of those meditations, right? Especially, I guess in your 20s, you're like sexually obsessed, let's say, you know, as most men are. And so, you know, that used to feel like a drainage energy, a drainage center for me. And so it was something I wanted to figure out, even at the time. I went like, what's going on? Or your heart one, and try and connect them, you know, and again, now I can understand perhaps why I felt watery. But yes, what I want to tie this into is that, well, you work on removing them, which I was skeptical at first, but if I look at it as, you know, if something alien is put in your body, maybe something alien can also be taken out of your body. I mean, you know, there has to be a balance. So I'm not going to throw asparagus, so to speak, at the work you do. But what I wanted to ask is, what do you feel, since I've accomplished doing that myself, like as let's say, I hate to use the word healer, but let's say as an assistant of getting implants out of people, why not? I think the world could really use some assistance of one kind or 100 kinds. What do you feel as the possibility of people doing this for themselves?
So that's going to be my work within the next 6 months. So up until now, I've been removing them myself and removing a lot of the other implants and etheric interference entities myself. So I also have some free healing videos on my YouTube channel as well, which remove stuff, which has frequencies embedded in it. But the next 6 months is for me to really focus on getting people, putting something together whereby it's going to teach people on how to do these things themselves, because it's not like the chakras is really just 0.001% of everything that really needs to be removed. There's a lot more that needs to be removed. A big part of this, the way forward is people need to start practicing remote viewing. You know, everyone has the potential to remove this stuff. It's just that people don't feel like they've got the abilities. And there is something with the more you train with your energy, the stronger it gets. It's like a computer game energy bar. You know, when you start off, it's low, but then you use it and you use it, and it gets stronger. So, you know, everyone has the potential to clear stuff. It's just people are not using those muscles. Everyone has psychic ability. Everyone can remote view, clear audio abilities, clear visual abilities. Everyone can do it. It's just that those muscles lay dormant because A, we're not taught about them at school, and B, when you get older, everyone thinks you're a whack job, so most people don't go there. But these are all abilities that we have, and this is part of when I say that humans are powerful and you know, talented and gifted. A lot of that is to do with the psychic abilities that we have. And so it's getting people to practicing working with their own energy and also practicing remote viewing. So they become more coherent in doing this stuff themselves, which, you know, it takes time. I've been doing this 7 years. I'm not saying it takes that long, but the more you do it, the stronger you get and the better you become at it. And yeah, a part of that is removing the overlays, which includes the chakras.
What do you mean by remote viewing?
Remote viewing is basically where you, for example, you ask your subconscious to show you. Just say you feel like you've got some heaviness around your heart. You might want to check your heart for implants. So some people do it with their eyes open. Other people do it with their eyes closed. You ask your subconscious to show you any implants on your heart. And then whatever you see, you use your intention and your energy to remove that. And you should feel like a slight shift in your energy, depending on how energy sensitive you are. But there's all kinds of stories of people remote viewing Mars and people remote viewing different areas of the planet and stuff like that. I don't use it for that, obviously. I just remote view, you know, people's energy and their organs. Okay. And you know, if you feel like you've got some dark energy around you, you can just say, or show me any entities that are draining on me right now. And your subconscious, it's not something that you force. It's not like you're like forcing it. You just sort of allow. But again, it takes practice, you know.
I understand. I've heard that too. So remote viewing, I guess it seems like you're saying to get into their energy bodies, which will give them the opportunity to view from a higher perspective themselves and potentially anything else they intend to take a peek at.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. If you feel like you've got something going on in a certain area of your body, you can ask your subconscious to show you, and it will show you.
Well, maybe you could share, if you don't mind, let's say some of the more interesting battles you've had with these fifth dimensional or fourth dimensional entities in relation, because you and I both know once you start on this path, you know, so we're mentioning to some of our viewers, you know, perhaps get into their bodies, remove their own chakras, look around, get to your heart. You and I both know at that point, you'll probably meet some resistance. And by resistance, I mean the fear monsters that will probably try and stop you from accomplishing your new skill set, let's say.
Yeah. I mean, one day I'll write a book about the stuff that's gone on down the years. And funnily enough, Lorenzo, I never had sleep paralysis or anything like that until I started getting into chakra removal and metaphysical entities and stuff. They didn't care. When I was speaking about the 3D level of corruption,
they don't
I was
give a
left
shit.
alone. They don't care.
No.
They care about this because this is the root cause of it all. The 3D is just the manifestation of them. And so when you go to this level, you will get, even if you start listening to information, start going down the path of watching videos like this, chances are you'll get, they'll start to have their eye on you even more.
Yes.
But the other night, I mean, I got massive sleep paralysis. I mean, it's a little bit, because I'm talking about this stuff, I'm going to be more targeted by them anyway. But the other night, I was in sleep. Have you ever had sleep paralysis?
Maybe. I've had some, horrible nightmares where,
Yeah, because
yeah,
it's like you can't move, or completely, like someone's wrapped you up in tape, and it's like they've taped your mouth, and so you're like trying to shout and cry out, but you can't. And it's not very nice, but I'm kind of used to it now. So that happened a lot. I mean, it hasn't happened for a while, but it happened a lot. It happened big time this week, and it might be something to do with coming on a show like this and speaking about it. Because their whole idea is to make you feel like shit in the morning and take you off your path. And, anything that they can do to waste your time, and even like things that will benefit you, like just say you're thinking about going for a walk in nature. There'll be the voice in the head go, no, you just stay in, and maybe you go tomorrow. Like anything like exercise, they'll try and put you off, trying to waste your time. Anything that's good for you, people that have felt like they want to move locations, then they're not happy where they are, and then they'll get voices giving them reasons why they should stay where they are. And then they'll talk to them and they'll go, yeah, but it's really weird because I don't feel like I want to be here, but these voices were telling me that I should stay here, similar to what we were speaking about off air. But I find that clients, they get really whacked, even when they're thinking about booking a session. And if I can't see someone straight away for a couple of weeks, sometimes the entities will get into them. They've told me that they've had dreams where I've appeared as the devil. I've had people tell me they've had voices in their head telling them to cancel. People losing their wallet so they can't pay me. Their internet going down, Skype going down. When we try and get on a call, I've had weird noises on the call, different lights flashing. It's crazy what's happened down the years. So if you make the decision to go down this level of it all, it is kind of a double-edged sword, because it's getting to the crux of things, but just know that you might get a little bit of interference for your troubles.
Oh, I've seen that for 12 years. Like even now, someone wants to work with us or is going to work with us related to, governing themselves or being free, and definitely going beyond this. Like it's easy to convince people to do a 3D battle. I've noticed it's like the government's wrong. Don't take your jab. You want to travel more. They shouldn't take your taxes, et cetera, et cetera. And as you said, that's because no one really gives a shit. The monsters know that doesn't mean nothing. And it's just it's just a battle, and then you die. And at best, it doesn't end. But to get into this section of things, I've had similar experiences. People canceling, freaking out, losing their wallet for sure. Their finances get hijacked. Who knows? Their dog died, and they've got to get 6 operations to keep Skippy alive or whatever.
But an important point to make as well is that they will try and get to you through other people as well. So we already touched on, and you've had Jerry on, so we know that these entities, there's different levels of attachment. Some are stronger than others. And there are some people on this planet that I would go as far to say that are just fully hosted. They're literally they're literally human, that demons incarnate in human bodies, and quite often they will set up relationships in the astral. I don't know if you've heard alien love bite phenomenon.
I have.
So that's happened to me a couple of times, where the perfect person on paper shows up in your life and ticks all the boxes. You're like, I can't believe this is amazing. This is absolutely amazing. You're like, this is the person I've been waiting for. And then 2 or 3 months down the line, you're dealing with a total narcissist. You're dealing with smear campaigns. She's just threatening you. It's threatening to suicide. And what does that do? It puts you completely off your path. The first one I had back in 2016, I'm telling you now, I nearly gave up on all of this. And funnily enough, when that was 6 months before I became involved in the chakras and the metaphysical stuff. 6 months before, they knew where it was going to lead. So what's the biggest weakness for many people? It's love. So we need to look out for targeting through other people. That can be a boss as well, you know, or like these entities will, if you're shining a lot of light on the planet, however that might be, not everyone's going to do podcasts or books, or, you know, for some people, maybe they're highly empathic, sensitive people get targeted an awful lot because they're transmuters of negative energy. Just them being them in the world is helping on a level that they don't really understand or realize, but they will be targeted. And if they can't get through, there's that saying, and I love this saying, if the devil can't get you, he'll send a person. And it's true. So when we're on this path, we have to, and it's not to be paranoid and, you know, think that everyone's an entity, but we need to be really discerning with who we allow close to us, particularly on an intimate relationship level, because these entities, I hate what they do, but they are clever, and they are conniving, and they are deceptive, and they are manipulative. And we see that with the false white light and the light beings masquerading as spirit guides and you know, spirit animals and friendly aliens and archangels. You know, they know what button to push with a certain person. So if your thing's angels, they'll push the angels button. Yep. If your thing's love, they'll send the love interest.
Sure.
You know,
Jesus. So, well, you'll see Jesus in your dreams, etc.
Exactly.
Buddha, what have you.
Yeah. So to say they're conniving would be an understatement. And you know, we have to respect them as an opponent and give them the credit for what they're able to do in terms of manipulate and deceive. But when we shine the light on that, with the work that Jerry's doing, you know, you're putting information out, other people are putting information out. There's more awareness around the love bite phenomenon, entities, chakras, overlays, implants. The more we shine the light on this, you know, it becomes more difficult for them. And because their whole gig is to stay hidden, and they've been able to stay hidden for so long. But now more and more light's being shined on the topic and on them. And so we can expect the attacks to increase if we're involved in this. And, you know, really it's spiritual warfare. So this is where we're at right now. So.
No, I figured to me, it seems fantastic. You know, maybe the Great Spirit is just sending challengers one after the other so we get strong. As you said, if you don't exercise that muscle, you know, you don't, but, and getting back to what you say about shooting themselves in the foot, if they show you an area that you're weak in, you know, if you're intelligent, you're going to say, you know, fuck, I hate that. I don't want to be weak somewhere. You know, that's what got me. I was going, oh my goodness, I don't like being pulled around like a dog on a chain. And so I better do something about it. You know, it's probably one of the things that started me on this path. Yeah.
Well, just on that point, this, and I talk about this a lot on my channel, is the importance of doing the inner work, because they will use your unhealed wounds against you all the time. Every time you get triggered, there's an entity that's feeding on all that emotional energy. Imagine it like that. And you know, they'll push the buttons on those and loop. You know, if you've got an unhealed wound of not feeling good enough or not feeling worthy, they'll be like, you're not good enough. No one likes you. You're not going to be able to do that. No one's ever going to love you, all day long. That's the one they'll play on. So they'll turn that right up. This is why it's so important that people do their inner work, because we want to plug those holes of the subconscious that allow them to hook in and use them against us. So the more you do that, the less food for them.
I agree, you know, and to anybody listening and watching and is maybe afraid of getting on this path and, you know, going towards their own healing, understanding that the monsters are going to get loud. You know, I've heard an old saying that, you know, the only thing harder than doing this work is not doing this work. So, yeah. So, you know,
I mean, the rewards are amazing, really. As dark as it sounds, there is gold at the end of it. You know, when you're feeling energetically clear and internally you're strong, you know, obviously we need to be looking after our physical bodies as well. When you spin those plates and you get them all spinning, you can still, you can still have a good life and find enjoyment and fun, even with the new world order crashing down on us. And it's important we do that. The New Age talks a lot about raising vibrations, and I call it toxic positivity, which is kind of spiritual bypassing. But there is something to be said for, leading a happy life and still finding the fun and enjoyment. And they don't like that. So it's kind of like a half truth with the whole raise your vibration positivity thing, because they do love depression and like dwelling in anger, not justified anger, depression, sadness, anxiety, fear. They love all that stuff, and they feed on that. And the more you're in that zone, the more you're going to kind of pick up critters like that. So the more work we do on ourselves, then, that inner child within us is happy, and then we're happy on the outside. And so, we're less likely going to fall into depression and sadness, and then what comes with that, all the bad habits of the alcohol, the drugs for some people, food, sex. So yeah, it is a case of really spinning plates and looking after every area of our being, especially right now, because they know our weak spots, and we have to heal. Like you said earlier, we have to nip those weak spots in the bud, and so we become strong and we're able to deal with this.
I mean, even, a good way to look at it is if you only go halfway and you increase your energy, the monsters love that, because then you become a more delectable snack from a wound. They may let you get happy, as you said, in love for a couple of months, and then, your vibration or your energy gets higher. But, if you can't keep it, it's like having a balloon with a hole in it. Eventually, you can call the chakras the holes, or your overlays the holes, or your wounds the holes, whatever you want to. But, if you want to fill up and stay full and keep your vibration, and who knows what's coming from that, once you get, higher vibrations. I've found, you find new skills, new direction, new imagination, new intuition. Your levels get to a place where they really have to stop bothering you, because you're not so susceptible to their nonsense. It's a polite way of putting it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I've got a couple of clients at the moment, and they've gone through the process with me. We've done some energy work, and we've been doing some inner work together. And the transformation, one lady, she's taken up salsa, another guy's starting to do art again, and he's now got his first commissions, and like for years before that, he'd put it on the back burner, things. And now I'm starting to see them flourish, and they hate creativity. These entities, they're one-trick ponies. They can't create. And so when we get creative as well, they just don't like it. They don't like any of that. And the more of us that do that, we can change the world in a way that's quite fun as well.
Yeah, I'm finding that too. I used to think I was an uncreative being. I used to hear that over. Oh, I can't paint. Oh, I can't sing. Oh, I can't dance. When I was a younger man, and eventually you're going, what's that? What's that for?
It's the gremlins.
It's the gremlins.
They don't want you dancing. It's too much fun.
I mean, so people starting, what would you say is a good spot for them? Let's say they're not going to use you, or they're not going to use me, or they're not going to use anything. They're just sitting at home and going, all right, I feel like shit. I want to grow. I want to do more. I'm not sure where to begin. What would you suggest maybe as a good starting point for them?
God. Well, it's all a good starting point, because like I say, we've got to spin plates. So it's no good being aware of this stuff and you're still eating like McDonald's every night. So you've got to make sure, you got to look at all aspects of your life and say, right, okay, how can I get my diet on point? How can I start feeling better emotionally? Okay, I need to do some inner work. How can I, what creative abilities have I got that I can flourish in, and give it, commit to doing it, because, knowledge without action is useless. And I made a video on my channel this week where I found a lot of people are stuck in victim mentality, and I'm finding a lot of people, they want to sit there and consume information. We can sit there till the cows come home consuming information, but if we're not going to take any action on it, then it's just pointless even knowing it in the first place. And I do find that that I think we're still waiting around for people to save us or take away our problems. So we have to put grab the ball by the horns and start making the moves ourselves. Okay, you feel like crap now. What action can you take to make yourself feel better? So it's taking action on all levels in terms of spinning all those plates.
I agree. I found too many people use the kind of work you do and the kind of work we do as entertainment, to bomb themselves. I mean, we just put a video out about a course we're doing about, freedom's calling you, how to be free, how to get to your own inner child, etc. And, someone watched it. I love it. Instead of doing one video a day, you should do two for me so I can listen at work. And I'm going, WTF, what are you talking about? The whole thing is about taking, and then so many people says, I love what you're doing. Do more for me, please.
Yeah, I know. Right? Yeah, I get emails like that all the time. I mean, I love what I do, and I'm sure you love what you do and get a lot of satisfaction from it. But yeah, it's almost like, we have to earn a living and live our lives as well. And it's a little bit like that. We need to. It's all about taking action now. I think the time for consuming information is over. I agree, respect of, we know what we need to do. Let's take the action to move towards that direction in mass, and then the more empowered and sovereign that we all become, then the stronger we're going to be as a human army. If you want to look at it like that.
No, I agree fully. I've come to the point too where we've done it. People can check out newagora.ca. All our past print is there. Everything we've shared. Tony has ascending times. He can share all of the work that he's done. And it's just like everything's been said, I think 100 times over in so many different ways. Even before him and I were born, I found in old books I've read, it's all out there. The point is to get off your ass and bring it inside, bring it in here, as you say, Absolutely. To do the inner work and then to allow yourself to do what you need to do, so that, that old adage of, give a man a fish or teach them to fish is very, very different. So, people need to learn how to fish for themselves. And that's 100%. What I'm saying.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Tony, is there anything you'd like to leave our viewers? Perhaps we've come to a natural end to this conversation. It seems to me we've given them some good. I mean, and I have to say, and I'm going to put myself up on the pedestal. I'm going, man, charging for this work, people charging money. Like I hear the monsters all the time. How can people do this? How can people charge? How can people even get into this mindset of helping people this way as healers or what have you? And then, I've had to sit back, and this is from when I first came across your work and going like, what the hell is going on inside of me? It's like people will go to a doctor or people go to a chiropractor or, people will go get their car done and say, I got to spend $3,000 to fix my engine, so I don't have $5 to help me to be free, and I've heard that countless times. And then to kind of turn that around and going, someone like Tony, he's right, he does have to earn a living. We do have to do what we do. There's bills involved. There's expenses to keep a website up. There's home and house and body. And I've had people freak out going, how dare you charge money for this? It should be free. Money's the root of all evil. And you're going, the point is, of course, is to realize it's fair value for fair exchange for fair work. And you've done what you've done to get to a point where you can aid people, let's say in your way, I would see, to aiding themselves.
Yeah, well, I mean, at the moment, money is the only real exchange out there. And, I have no issue, I charge for my services. The quietening of the mind is actually priceless. It's worth thousands. So, and, people pay a lot more for light language sessions and sessions that don't do anything. So, I charge for my services. It's all on my website, transcendingtimes.org, if anyone wants to check that out there. And my YouTube channel, Tony Sayers, my name.
Okay.
Telegram,
Well, we'll leave the links below. Send a short bio or some more information to me if you like, and I will share that as well. Delighted to follow up on your course that you're doing on teaching people how to do this for themselves. I'm all about that, and I would love to hear more. And maybe we'll talk about that, as it's developing. And for all of you out there, it's easier than you think to start. Like you said, drop the extra bottle of wine or decide to go jogging more, or there's nothing but ways that you can begin to grow your energy, and who knows what the next step will be. I figure one will always lead to the next.
we should have a daily thing where we find one way to starve a gremlin.
No, that's great advice. I mean, I do it myself. Every day I get up and go, I have a little picture there from an artist I love. It's translated from Japanese that basically roughly translate. He's looking in the mirror going, how am I being stupid today? This is what he's. So it's kind of like it translates what you just said is like, for me, I'm going, how am I losing my energy today? How do I want to change that? How do I want to get better? And, then how can I perhaps share that if that's my calling with the people that want to be shared with? So Tony,
Absolutely.
it's a delight to get to know you better. I really do enjoy what you've done and what you're doing and how you're sharing, and I'm happy to share more. And I appreciate your time being with us today.
Thank you for coming. Thank you for allowing me to come on, and I will remember to give you a shout out. For sure.
All right. So Tony's links will be below, newagora.ca. See more of what we've done. Anybody has any questions or suggestions or anything they may like us to talk about in future chats, please feel free to comment, subscribe, like, and all those lovely things. I love you all very much. I'll see you all very soon. So delighted to have you here today. Tony, once again, thanks for being with us. Hope to chat with you again soon. And for everyone out there, stay free.
Can't make me lie to my heart. No one tells me where I should start. Freedom first is what I say. Nothing now gonna get in my way.